You might be well making an assumption that the disparity there is because of discrimination, and you can't prove that. Alrighty. I saw this come across the wires from a couple of different places, and I figured I'd have some fun. Do species names perpetuate gender bias in science? When it comes to christening parasites, men almost always gets the honor, a study finds. There's something there about that. I haven't read this article all the way through, so I'm curious to see what's coming out of science. By the way, yeah, there's a thought I immediately have just on that title, but we'll get to that in a second. First things first, I want to share with you some news. So, for those, want to share with you some news. This is the Rogue Journal Club podcast, actually, that is now available. It has an RSS it's available on RSS.com, but you can also find it on Spotify and Amazon Music. And if you like the Thursday study reviews, you'll like these too. In terms of it being a review of a study. We basically take apart a study, and I am not alone in this. My good friend Gina joins me to talk about the studies here, and we get into it. We go back and forth. We have some commentary, some wit, some snark, some few things going on there. It very much fits with the theme of this channel, being raw, unfiltered, and informal. And that is exactly what the Rogue Journal Club is, where we actually get together. This artwork is going to change, but the podcast is already here. It is connected with Google Podcasts. I'm having a little bit of an issue with that, but you can find it on Google Podcasts. I'm working to get it up on Apple Podcasts. But you can listen also if you have Amazon Music and Spotify. It is available there now too, along with other major podcasting platforms, because it's routed through RSS.com. So you can find it. And I hope you go give it a listen and tell us what you think about it. And first one up there, the first article we decided to review is an article where the author argues that scientists should not be open, sincere, transparent, or honest when they are talking to people. So, I think that's an interesting one to get into, because I obviously didn't agree. And it was certainly interesting for us. So I encourage you to go check it out. It's going to be a fun time. I'll leave a link in the description for you. Back to the main topic today. Do species names perpetuate gender bias in science? When it comes to christening parasites, men almost always get the honor, study finds. Why would you want an honor to be named after a parasite? Or have a parasite named after you? Parasites are not the nicest things. Anyway. When it comes to naming species they discovered, scientists like to have a little fun. There's bah humbuggy, wow, a Fiji snail referencing one of literature's crankiest men. Or Spongiformia squarepantsi. You're kidding me. There's a mushroom named after SpongeBob SquarePants? I did not know that. What the And for decades, researchers have named species after their colleagues or iconic researchers as a way to honor them, which is why some 300 species of animals are named after Charles Darwin. But that tradition may perpetuate societal biases, according to a new study of parasite names. The scientific names of nearly 3,000 recently identified bloodsuckers, hijackers, and other banes of the biological world mostly honor men. Okay. Perplexed by some of the stranger parasite monikers that occasionally grace the headlines, Robert Poulin, a parasitologist, that's an interesting job description, at the University of Ontario Dunedin, I am not pronouncing that correctly, and his colleagues combed through studies published in 8 prominent parasitology journals between 2000 and 2020. Although discoveries of new species of mammals or birds are relatively rare, parasites represent the frontier of taxonomic research, with prodigious amounts of new species described each year. The year 2007 alone saw nearly 200 new parasites worm their way into the scientific record. Ugh. Ugh. Parasites are nasty. sorry. I'm sure they have ecological relevance for something, but parasites are nasty, man. So it's hard for me to imagine that we've discovered 200 new parasites. For each new species description, the team recorded the species name, what it infects, and the reasoning behind its scientific name. Of the 596 parasite species honoring an eminent scientist, only 18% immortalized women researchers. The, te- the team reports in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B the gender gap has remained consistent for the past 20 years, and 89% of researchers lucky enough to have two or more parasites named after them were men. Hang on. Oh. Okay. Again, we're going to do this for a million times over. And pardon the sound, there may be a cat that jumps in. I don't know. We're going to keep on doing this a million times over with this. And it's annoying as hell. Disparity does not equal discrimination. If you're going with the disparity and saying it automatically is discrimination for some reason, or evidence of a gender bias or something like that, I'm sorry, that's a logical fallacy. You have no way of knowing that for sure. You have absolutely no way of knowing that for sure. Good grief. The results fits the few previous studies to tackle this question. For example, a 2010 paper examining the names of nearly 900 varieties of desert succulent plants in the genus Aloe recorded an even starker disparity. Species named after men scientists outnumbered those named after women scientists by more than 10 to 1. Again, a disparity does not equal discrimination. That's a logical fallacy. You're pointing me to a disparity. I agree. The disparity is there. You've shown me that data. You're not showing me why that disparity exists. You're presuming it, which is a logical fallacy straight off the gate. These findings don't surprise Rachel Wilicki, a parasitologist at Newman University who was not involved with the work. Despite an influx of women parasitologists in recent years, Wilicki thinks parasitology's long history of male-dominated research still affects naming conventions. The reality is that these are patterns that get gleaned after many decades. Janine Serrera, parasitologist at the University of Connecticut Stores, also not involved with the new research, agrees. Sierra recently sifted through 141 parasite species that she and her colleagues have named after people and discovered that 63% were named after men. That's a big deal. I'm sorry, a disparity does not equal discrimination. Good grief. It's not a bias. I'm sorry, it's not discrimination to have a disparity. That is the single cause fallacy if you're presuming that discrimination drives every disparity or some kind of gender bias causes this disparity. That is a logical fallacy. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but it is. It is still a logical fallacy either way. Like Wilicki, Sierra thinks parasitology's past drives much of the bias. Quote, historically, there has been a dearth of eminent female parasitologists who have worked on these groups of parasites. In addition to the gender gap, the team also found that the average number of parasites named after a researcher's close friend or family member has I don't know if I was that person who had a parasite named after me that I'd appreciate it, because, like I said, parasites can be really damn nasty. Has steadily risen over the past 20 years. By 2020, roughly 30% of all species not named after their host, locality, or morphology were named after a researcher's relative or friend, up from about 20% at the start of the study period. Even researchers' pets are getting the honor. In 2012, a stingray tapeworm, Rhinobothrium corbeti, was named after the lead author's Welsh Terrier, Corbetta. Interesting. The team argues such names come at the expense of often overlooked collectors, technicians, and local scientists who are essential to research. For example, the study mentions the Tatiana Pequenque Sacco. Oh, the case of Tatiana Pequenque Sacco, and I apologize for probably butchering the pronunciation, a local conservationist at Purdue's Cordillera Azul National Park, who helped a group of parasitologists collect fish specimens from a dense region of the Amazon. To thank her, researchers named the Uvolifer penguini, a flatworm that frequents the guts of kingfishers after her. Sierra, who herself is the namesake of a suite of tapeworms, is a proponent of this naming philosophy. I'm a big fan of naming a tapeworm after whoever helps us collect it, she says. Many new species she described from her fieldwork on tapeworms that infect sharks and stingrays in Southeast Asia bear the names of boat captains and fishermen who help reel in the specimens. Poulin and his authors hope the study nudges parasitologists to put more care into coining monikers that reflect the diversity of the scientific community. They may not follow our naming suggestion, but they cannot deny the data. Indeed, I would agree they probably can't deny the data. The disparities are real. But you're making an assumption that the disparity, you might be well making an assumption that the disparity there is because of discrimination. And you can't prove that. Or at least you either can't prove it or you're not willing to try. You have no proof of that. To say, oh, because of the past, this is what the bias is. You have no proof of that. You've absolutely no proof of that. So yeah, no, I mean, they can take up whatever they want. I personally would be thrilled to not have a parasite named after me. Because I don't like parasites all that much. They're pretty disgusting and can be pretty nasty in people. And in animals. And in animals, for that matter. In cats and dogs, for sure. Yeah, no. I'm not game for that. I'm not game for that. But such strange things are what come through in science. Let me know what you think. That's it for now. Until next time. Oh, wait, of course. Hit the like button if you like this video on the way out the door. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video, comment on the video, all that lovely good jazz. Pop on over in locals and have some fun with us there. But until next time, I'm Adrienne, and I hope you stay curious.